when people argue.
Well,
all right, Monday Mortgage Mayhem here. We're talking, everything is on the table right now. We're talking about, previous to hitting the record button, we just started arguing. We said, you know what, let's just talk about it in front of everybody. Because quite honestly, like, you need to hear about our discussions like we have behind the scenes, because they're accurate. They're accurate, and sometimes we don't agree on everything. So let's just have at it. So we were talking about contracts. And so Mike had a situation. Go ahead, Mike. We're not going to give names out because everything's confidential, but we're going to give out scenarios.
Well, what started the conversation, we started talking about purchase agreements. We're talking about taxes and future taxes and prorations and who's responsible and who should be letting the client know this and that. And it kind of snowballed into a lot of different things. But we recently, purchase agreements, as on the mortgage side, I scan through purchase agreements for what I need to know for the mortgage. To say that I read every single word on the purchase agreement, I don't always do that. There's a lot of stuff in there that's routine, and we see it all the time. It's got everybody's names, the addresses. Obviously, we verify everything's accurate. And we're looking for things like what's actually been agreed upon. What's the final agreed upon purchase price? What's the final agreed upon earnest money deposit? Who the title companies are. There's a lot of information in the purchase agreement. But I noticed on a deal recently that there was a checkbox when it dealt with tax prorations where the buyer has to reimburse the seller for the future taxes that seller has already paid on the home. And now that you're taking ownership of that home, you have to reimburse the seller for some of those taxes that they already paid. And on this one purchase agreement, which I've never seen it on any other purchase agreement, there was 2 check boxes. Sheila, are you still with us? There you are. Okay. All right. There was 2 check boxes, and one of them said it was dealt with how prorations will be paid back to the seller. And there was 2 check boxes. One said calendar year. The other one said fiscal year. The agent check marks the box calendar year. And I mean, without going into exactly how prorations are calculated, but just to keep it high level and simple, the summer tax bill that somebody pays, when I pay my summer tax bill, when I paid it last summer, it pays the summer taxes all the way through to June 30th, the middle day of the year, because the next summer tax bill is due July 1st. Mm-hmm. Winter tax bills come out. They're due December 1st for the winter tax bill. And it goes from December 1st all the way to November 30th of the following year. So if you take ownership of a home in April, you're going to owe, from the day you take ownership, you're going to owe tax prorations refund back to the seller. The summer portion will be from the day you close till June 30th only. The winter portion will be from the day you close to November 30th. Well, when this agent check marked calendar year, they took from the day of closing, they calculated taxes for the summer and winter all the way to January 1 of the next year, which means the seller was going to get monies paid to them they did not earn, deserve, or have coming to them.
Because they weren't going to be in the house as of January 1st, correct?
No, they were going to be in the house, but the summer taxes...
The seller wasn't going to be in the house.
The seller's not going to be in the house from the day that you close, which in this example is in April.
So my point is they weren't going to be in the house as of January, right? For calendar year, you're saying they would have had to pay the taxes, or the seller would have gotten reimbursed for time that they weren't in the house. Is that correct?
They would have got reimbursed for tax time that they didn't pay, because when the seller paid the summer taxes last year in 2023, and you take ownership in April 2024, you only owe them from the day of closing to June 30th of this calendar year.
That proration period.
That proration, which might be $600.
Correct.
But because it was marked
based on the amount of days. It's based on the amount of days.
It's based on the amount of days.
Correct.
I mean, basically, you just take the entire summer and winter tax bill, the number, you divide it by 365 days, And then it's every day from the day of closing till the end of the fiscal period that it covers.
Correct.
Which means you only owe them about $600 in summer tax prorations, but this seller got 6 more months because they calculated all the way through to January of the next year. I don't even know why that checkbox is on that purchase agreement. And it just got checkmarked. I don't even think the agent understood it. And thank God we
here's where
caught
I'm
it.
going to chime in. And here's where I'm going to chime in.
Okay. Thank God we caught it and our client didn't get screwed, but go ahead.
Right. So this is why real estate agents get their commissions, right? Because they're responsible for taking care of their clients. The listing agent takes care of the seller. The buyer's agent takes care of the buyer. Okay.
That's a great point. Imagine if buyers had to navigate these agreements on their own.
Right.
They have no way of knowing what in the hell is going on here. So go on. I'm sorry.
Right. And so this is the experience of the agent is why people pay the commissions, because we are in it each and every day going through all the different scenarios that are out there. And I can tell you, in the 5 years I've been in real estate, I have so many different scenarios between quiet title and tax foreclosures and all these different things, like, and buyers not signing buyer agencies. Like, I've been through so many different ones that buyers and sellers wouldn't know what to do in certain situations. They just wouldn't. How do they handle it? Who do they go to? How do they negotiate it? So the point I want to make about this particular scenario is, and this is, I've been harping on it since I got in the business. Every single agent should be sitting down with their clients on the listing side and on the buy side, and even the seller, the listing agent, with the purchase agreement when the buyer sends the purchase agreement. Okay. This is why agents should be reviewing every single contract with their clients, because you are getting, when you put your name at the bottom of that contract, you are in a contract. That is a binding agreement. Long ago are the days in the classes that I used to have when I was in high school for contracts, and understanding what a contract is, and understanding when you sign a contract, how binding that is, and what, and it could be held up in a court of law. So when you are signing those contracts, you need to understand each and every area of that purchase agreement. Not only as an agent, but you as a buyer, as a consumer, as a client, when you're buying and selling homes, you need to understand that those contracts, each and every contract, and your agent should be sitting down. And even virtually, you can do it sitting down on a Zoom. I can run through a contract. I've done it many times, but sitting down with a client, going through the contract and explaining each and every item number on those contracts. It's vital. They need to understand what they are signing. That's why we don't have people that, have Alzheimer's or dementia, or, they don't have all their faculties. That's why they can't sign contracts, because they don't understand them. So your client, unfortunately, signed the contract. It's a binding contract. It was up to the agent to educate the buyer or the seller, right? It was the agent's, I should say, agent's responsibility to educate their clients on that agreement. So, as much as you want to blame, a certain party for this situation, you can't, because whoever signs that agreement says, okay, I agree to this. And so this is where
I get that. I get that. I don't want, I hope I reserve blame against the buyer to a point. I understand we all sign stuff every day that if we actually took the time to read it and it's like, oh, I'm going to send this to my attorney to look over. I mean, we sign stuff all the time with trust. And we do. I mean, let's be real here.
That's an
we sign things with trust. We sign a lot of things that get going. to get something, whatever, just let's go because I want this. But even there's things on purchase agreements that a buyer is never going to understand.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be explained by the real estate agent. Now, like I said, in this one situation, I've never seen that on a PA before. Because I mean, this came up. I've not seen that before, and
I've only seen it once, but I've
when I
seen
saw
it.
the final closing docs and I saw this massive amount of prorations and it didn't match my proration calculator, I said, "What's going on?" We went back into the PA and found a line item I've never seen on a PA before, and I've never seen one since. So they're all different. Not all PAs are created equal.
Correct. And that goes back to my statement. You have to understand that you got to read the contracts. Not all contracts are created equal. And I did have a situation where I had a contract that was completely different than anything I had experienced, and I think it was very similar in this scenario with the taxes. It's just not every contract is created equal. A broker can change up the contract as they see fit, because
Right.
I don't think that contract was a contract that was normally out there. Certain brokerages may want to put something in their contract that protects them maybe a little bit more, or kind of tightens up the agreement, or I don't know. But um I I keep going back to my contract class. You've got to read whatever it is you're signing. And yeah, terms of service on Facebook, and terms of service on TikTok, and all those things, I mean, that's for the birds. Quite honestly, that's just so for the
That's what I
birds.
meant. Do you read all that stuff before you create a Facebook account? No.
No, and
And
honestly,
we
I
probably
mean,
should.
yeah, but real estate contracts is like, this is a big purchase. You're not purchasing anything on Facebook.
Yeah, this is
You're
different.
just using it. This is a huge purchase. This is taking your oh my god, this is taking your all your money and putting it into this basket. And why would you just be so flippant about it? Why would you be just like, okay, yeah, I'll just sign it, and not actually read what you're signing? That's it. I'll leave it there. I'll land my plane.
So let me ask you this: if you had, and I'm only using EXP as an example, it's just the first brokerage name that comes to the top of my head. If you had 5 different EXP agents all writing a purchase agreement, is that PA from the same that they all use, or could different agents from the same brokerage use a different PA form?
Any agent at any brokerage can use whatever form they want to use, unless that brokerage specifies that they want them to use a certain form. I've been at several different brokerages, and I've used the same form no matter what brokerage I'm at. I haven't been told you have to use this form. So there's forms that are through our boards, like GMAR and NOCBOR, North Oakland County Board of Realtors, and Grosse Pointe Board of Realtors. There's different forms that they have out there. Ultimately, they're through like the Michigan Association of Realtors. Funny part is, I actually, when I first graduated and got into the working world, I actually designed real estate mortgage forms for Michigan for all the Association of Realtors. But I digress.
Okay.
So, so basically, you can use as an agent in a brokerage, unless they specify, you can use any purchase agreement that's on your MLS, whichever one you want. So I just happen to use GMAR all the time.
So they're approved through a legit source. It's not like you could just draft up your own custom one and brand it to your name.
The
You can't
boards
do that.
The boards do. If you use the board forms, they are. But if you're using a brokerage form, because brokerages have forms themselves,
Yep.
I mean, like I said, like purchase agreements, they do put their logo on it, but is it a board form? That would be a case by case scenario. So like that particular one, we'd have to look at it and see if it's like a board form that's out there, so yeah. The bottom line is, no matter what form you use, Yeah, and it can be the same form each and every time, and that would get boring reading through it, right? But if you read the contract, if you knew the GMAR contract like the back of your hand, you would know, and a red flag would get raised if you saw an item number that wasn't there before, right? You would know that contract. But
Right.
if you saw a random contract that came across your desk that you'd never seen before, read through that contract. Read through it. Don't just assume that it's the same verbiage that all the other contracts had. So, I mean, bottom line, those agents
Yeah.
should be doing their job and making sure they're educating each of their prospective clients. So the buyer should know what they're signing on the purchase agreement, and the seller should know what they're signing on the purchase agreement, right? Like it's a binding contract between the buyer and the seller. So the
Right.
just as much as the buyer should sign and understand that contract when they sign it, so should the seller. They're binding contracts. That's a bottom line. Contracts 101. That's the bottom line. You're in a binding contract once you both put your names to it. Now, if the parties come together, okay, and say, "Listen, we both didn't realize that this particular thing was on there." You can do an addendum as long as both parties have a meeting of the mind and they agree on that particular thing, right? But if you have one party saying, "Nope, nope, we're standing our ground," then you kind of don't have a leg to stand on, because they could take you to court if you don't, if you don't pay it, they could take you to court, and the title company, I mean, let's get this involved. The title company has to do what the contract says.
Right.
So,
That's funny you say that, because that's how we caught it. The title company sent over, the final closing package. We were getting ready to close, and I realized these prorations were out of whack. And they said, "Hey, we just following the contract,"
Yep.
which is what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
And that caused me to dig into the PA a little bit deeper and found something I've never seen on one. Now you can bet your sweet bottom dollar that I check every PA for that now too. It's just another thing on the list that I check for. And on one hand, I think, I mean, let's just be real. I think a lot of consumers sign things because they have a lot of trust in who they're working with.
Yep.
I mean, I have clients that send me their bank account logins. They're like, "Here, just log into my accounts, pull down whatever you need." I am hugely flattered by that. They certainly can trust me to do that. Not everybody does that, but some are like, "Here's all my stuff." And those are the kind of people that'll say, I've had some clients say, "Is this really, do you really believe this is a good deal for me?" And I be like, "Well, yes, and here's why." Great, boom, they sign it, they don't read a thing, and that's flattering. It's flattering,
but they're not.
But you still want them to understand what they're signing by all means.
No, but this goes back to, and I feel like I'm on repeat every single day with people. Like, this goes back to our world right now. Our world has taken. I had contracts back in high school. Like, in high school, I was taking a class about contracts, about what it means to sign a contract, what contracts are, like understanding that piece. Because when you get into the real world and you're 18, guess what? You're an adult. If you sign something, you're in a contract. So these are things that kids that are in high school should know. Because when you turn 18, guess what? The handcuffs are off and you could be held liable if you get into a contract. So it's the way that our world is going. And I'm not going to get into any political crap, but the thing is if you aren't educated about anything, if you're not educated about that certain thing, whether it be real estate, whether it be contracts, whether it be whatever, mortgages, if you're not educated about it, then you're going to be taken advantage of, or you're going to be, or you're not going to know certain things. So this is why I focus so much on education, and it's very crucial right now, because this next generation, it seems that's coming up, and even people that bought and sold houses 20 years ago, it's so different. So people have got to be educated about each and every part of the process of buying and selling homes.
Yeah, well, when you have a culture that's being led to believe, "Hey, just download the app and you can get your mortgage in 10 seconds."
Right.
That kind of BS is what has helped create this this non-transparency to what really it takes.
Yep.
They just make it sound fun and easy. And, obviously you're not reading what you're agreeing to when you install that app on your phone. And then
Correct.
you're not reading the fine print when you submit your private information. I mean,
Correct.
it's so easy. It's so easy. Everybody wants easy, fast, efficient, and easy. And you're taking out an investment, one of the largest investments in loans. You're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And some people are like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to text and put it through the app and give me my mortgage.
Right.
Well, it's not reality.
No,
it's not reality, but it's caused this whole generation of putting vast trust into apps and software and not trust in people.
Right. I don't know what else to do other than to keep educating and putting these videos out there. And then when they get into these situations or they ask these questions in their mind, then at least videos like ours and other people that are doing it are going to be out there for them to really listen to and understand. And, if they have questions, if you have questions while you're watching this, please feel free to reach out to us. Like we're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to, people can put up, their luxury cars and all this. Like I do real estate and I do mortgages and we're fancy schmancy people. We are just simple people wanting to help the next generation and previous generation buy and sell homes, but educate you about the process so that you're not being taken advantage of. Because there's too many times, and I'm not saying that all agents do it or all mortgage people, or I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying if you are an educated consumer, then guess what? You can't be taken advantage of because you're educated. So slow your roll. Take it one step at a time and get educated about the process. So, and quite honestly, this isn't just related to purchasing a home. You and I had the scenario where, I had a client that called me off of Google. I sent them to you because they needed to get qualified, and you worked with them for a while, and then you sent them back to me, and that was great. And then I showed them a couple of houses and then wanted them to sign a buyer agency agreement, because when I'm working with a client to purchase a home, I'm representing them. And in order to represent them, I need to get paid at the end of the transaction. Well, what that means is I'm going to go into a buyer agency contract with that particular person. Well, this particular person was listening to other people that hadn't been around, and they said, oh, don't sign it. Don't sign it. Don't sign it. Well, these people don't even know what a buyer agency is. They don't know what it means. And so I just refuse to work with people who aren't going to sign a buyer agency contract and work exclusively with me. So that's why contracts are important, because people are just going to say, oh, no, I'm not going to sign it. Okay, well, good luck. I'm not going to work with you. And, pretty soon, I think buyer agencies are going to be the mandatory thing. And you're probably not going to have an agent that will work with you if you don't sign one of those buyer agencies, because agents work hard for their money. We could do a whole nother video about that, but we work very hard for our money, and we work in the best interest of each of our clients. So the listing agent works in the best interest of their seller, and the buyer's agent works in the best interest of their buyer. And we should be able to get paid for that, for all that work that we do. I don't know a single job or a single business out there that people work for free, because that's really what agents do. We work for free until the closing table. We're literally working for free. So I don't know another industry out there that does that. I mean, I think mortgage companies do that as well, right? Mortgage brokers.
Yeah. I mean, we have some expenses up front. Real estate agents you have a tremendous amount of expenses in your advertising and your continuing ed and your licenses and your cost of fuel. And we can go on and on and on. All the expenses involved just to show up as a real estate agent. Same thing on our side. We have to invest in credit reports and sometimes multiple credit report pulls. And, that's another thing I think we've done a video about this. That's probably going to change as well, because the costs are going so high. But we invest in all these on behalf of our buyer and hope that they're going to remain with us and actually get to the closing table, because that's the
Right.
only time we get paid and get reimbursed for our expenses out. We have no
Right.
agreements on the mortgage side. Nobody will sign an agreement that they're locked into working with this mortgage person. I mean, we've had people leave 2 days before the closing table. I've heard about it. I haven't had it happen, thank God, but I've heard that people 2 days before, they get a call from some random bank promising them the world, and they bail. And this lender has them all the way to the closing table. So, there's no agreements on our end. We get paid if we close. So we
Right.
have no interest in doing anything that's not in the interest of the consumer.
Right. And I
None.
would think that anybody that has that's employed, I mean, how would they feel if they went to work for 40 hours a week and then didn't get paid after that? Because the employer just said, "Well,
Right.
nope, we're not gonna
Right.
pay you." So,
And I don't want anyone to think we're crying the blues about how hard we
no,
work. We're not,
no,
because in
no,
my opinion, nobody
right.
cares. And I certainly am,
I'm not a
well,
victim. I'm not a victim. I'm
yeah,
just
no, we're
saying
not victims by any means. We're
we're
just talking
educating.
the reality, a real estate, why did I become a mortgage person, not a real estate agent? Because I said, I just want to help as many people as I can, for the most part, in one location. These agents that I know agents that have showed, you probably done it, 50 homes to people, 50 plus homes.
Yep.
The time, the expense, the weekends, the evenings, the gas. Real estate agents absolutely deserve an agreement to work with you. Now, granted, if you have a major falling out or something happens, things happen, but for the most part, you should honor that agent, because there's a
Yep.
tremendous amount of expense. I mean, look at all the videos of not dying to dashers. Good Lord. What's that called? Where you get your food
Oh,
delivered.
DoorDash.
Door dashers. But you see all these videos of the door dasher not getting a tip or getting $1, and they
Yep.
film themselves kicking over the shrubs. They're pissed because they didn't get a few extra dollars for that one single trip they made.
Yep.
One trip. Now, I'm in agreement. They deserve to get paid. If you order through that service, you're tipping. You're paying $30 to get a side of fries to deliver to your house. Tip them, take care of them. But think about what a real estate agent does, and sometimes gets ghosted after showing 50 homes.
Yep.
That ain't right.
Nope.
That is not right.
Nope.
And that happens. That's why there's buyer agency agreements.
Yep.
I wish we had them on the mortgage side.
Yeah, that's why there's contracts in general. Like, I mean, I know there's agents out there that are not doing, good things maybe. Each agent is an independent contractor. Like, we are our own business owner essentially. And so my name means everything to me. I said that when I got in the business. It's the reason I don't join a team, because I need to protect my name. My transactions with people are super important to me, because I don't want anybody ever to feel like they got taken advantage of. I don't want them to feel like they had a bad transaction. Like, I want to do customer service is my number one priority. Always, always. And that's because that speaks about my integrity, and my integrity means everything to me. So, but there's agents out there that don't care about it. They just want to, they may just want a paycheck, right? And, I mean, nobody can blame people. They want to get paid or whatever. But the thing is just educate yourself. When you educate, I keep saying it. It all goes back to education. Educate yourself. Interview agents. Make sure that you're connecting with the right agents. Make sure you read the reviews for the agents. I mean, most agents now have a Google Business Profile. Go out there and read it. And if they don't have a Google Business Profile, I mean, like, let's be honest, like, then do you really want to work with somebody if there is no reviews on them, right? So I'm not saying not to work with people. I'm just saying, like, do your education, do your research, which seems like people just don't do anymore. Do your research on agents. Make sure you're working with agents that are doing the right thing, that have happy clients, and do your research by watching videos like this that educate the consumers. So I think we beaten a dead horse, right?
You're beating it down.
Yes. So, you know,
All right.
I appreciate Mike so much because, like I said in other videos, he's exactly like me. We like our biggest thing is just taking care of our clients. That means so very much to each one of us because that speaks about our integrity and it's gonna help more people get the right people working for them. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you for all you do. Good
Thanks.
talk. Good talk.
Yeah, good talk, man.
Good
All
talk.
right. Come back next Monday for another Mortgage Mayhem. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We could be talking about interest rates. We could be talking about contracts again, or, you know, I know contracts are boring, but the understanding behind them is super important. So, but come back next Monday and come and hang out with us. My information 586-713-6464. I'm not going to be putting any slides up on the screen. If you want to reach out to me, give me a call. I'll put it in the description and
I like the B-roll slides. I like the B-roll slides a lot.
I know, but I don't have them right now. I didn't prepare myself for them. So,
all right.
Mike,
you've seen our name. You've seen our name for a half hour here. If you've stuck with us, Google us. We're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing. Google us, both of us. We're both on Google. Google us, read our reviews. Yeah. All right.
Read the reviews.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon.